Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is undefeated prospect James Martin. Hello, James. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on here.
In October, you fought, I think, that really big fight because you fought against much more experienced fighter, of course, like the UFC and PFL veteran. Before the fight, how did you feel? Because you were 4-0, and you got a chance to fight not only for the title, but against Brandon Jenkins, who is like a super big veteran of the game. So what do you feel before this fight?
Um, yeah, so what kind of ended up happening is he was supposed to fight one of my teammates and they're on the same team or something. I'm not sure exactly how, but the fight fell through for them. Um, so the promoter for Cage Aggression, I know him pretty well, and I just called him and I said, hey, if he can't fight him, I'll fight him. Um, and everyone was good with it. So I was like, oh, okay. So before I took the fight, I looked him up and did his film and stuff. And it was one of those like I thought I had the tools to put him away, and so I I took the fight, and then my coach was like, yeah, you should take it, all this, and then like as camp kept going on, like people were like, oh, he's fighting Brandon Jenkins, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, yeah, everyone just kind of like kept putting pressure the whole time, up until I was like, man, did I bite off more than I could chew, you know? So I mean, it was a bit overwhelming. But at the end of the day, I knew I had the tools like to finish him and to do what I had to do. So, yeah, it was a bit overwhelming at towards the end, I would say, but we got it done. So.
And it was like a super lightweight fight, right? Like 165.
Yeah, so I plan on because my teammate Thomas Blackorby, he was fighting for the welterweight title, um and I didn't. I wanted a title fight too, so we weren't going to fight each other. So I said I'll go to lightweight. So that nothing like that would affect either of us. But then I found out that they had a super lightweight title, and actually Brandon Jenkins, technically he was the champ before we even fought, because the last time they had a super lightweight, it was him. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was the last time he fought for Cage Aggression. Um, so yeah, that was kind of part of the reason why I was like, I'll fight him because I don't want to drop all the way to 155. So I was like, I could fight a UFC veteran and not have to cut 10 more pounds. Let's do it.
And about your future, do you see yourself more in the lightweight or the welterweight division?
I mean, honestly, I've always dabbled with going to lightweight. But the older I get, the the more I realize like I'm not a small welterweight. Um, I think I could go to lightweight. I don't know. It just kind of depends on how much time I have to prepare for the next fight. The big reason why I keep going back to welterweight is I try to fight 3 4 times a year. I only ended up fighting twice. I don't know what it is. And I do have a manager now, so um, we're hoping to be able to fight more often. But in the past, I've tried getting fights, other than just twice a year, and it hasn't worked out. For whatever reason, whether it's injury or promotions aren't just interested. I'm not sure, but we're hoping to fight 3 4 times a year now.
But I think it is kind of crazy because you've got only 5 pro bouts, but I think that from these 5 fights you've got 3 really big wins. So there can be like I think that it can be some problem in like regional scene to find you a good opponent, especially if you beat a UFC veteran in your last fight.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that was kind of the issue. My early career is, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. At least this is what promoters have told me. I'm not sure if that's the case by any means, but promoters have told me in the past, after before my first 2 3 fights, it's like no nobody wants to fight a debut black belt or 1-0 black belt. And I'm like, I don't see why that makes a difference, but that's what promoters have said before. Um, but I have heard that about, NCAA champions. Like nobody wants to fight an NCAA champion, their second fight. So I'm not sure what the reason is, but it is what it is. We're here now.
And actually, of course, having a BJJ black belt is big accomplishment. But in MMA, we have a lot of black belts, but
Yeah.
not like super big amount of black belts are super dangerous from the back. And when I'm thinking about like prospect from regional scene who is like super dangerous from his back, I'm actually thinking about you because you've got this kind of crazy triangle. You submit a lot of people also in your amateur days, so you are definitely have this kind of thing that not many like even like UFC fighters are good at.
Yeah, I've I'm a guard puller at heart, I started with jiu-jitsu and I was never good at takedowns, so I had a coach who was like, you can only do takedowns, and I was at a tournament one day and I was going against a wrestler, and um I was like, I'm just gonna pull guard. I know he's gonna take me out. I'm just gonna pull guard. Whatever. And then, I won, and then I went up against another guard puller. I'm like, well, I don't want to be in his guard, so I'll just pull guard again. And then after that, I was like, I'm just gonna be a guard puller in jiu-jitsu. So I think that's how I got really, really good off my back. Um, and then I applied it to MMA. Actually, it's kind of funny. My first MMA fight as an amateur, my whole camp, I was just saying to myself, "Don't pull guard, don't pull guard, don't pull guard." And I go out and pull guard, and I'm like, "No way!" And I still beat him, but uh, but yeah. Since then, I haven't pulled guard in MMA. I probably will never do that again.
And do you have maybe like the finish, the submission in your mind that you would like to win your one of your next fights by?
Um, I mean, everyone kind of knows the triangle's like my bread and butter. So I know I can always kind of lean back on it. I've got so many triangle setups. Um, but this past camp, I was actually hitting the twister a lot in practice. So it was one of the things I was thinking about, like trying to hit going into the fight was getting a twister because I've never hit it even in jiu-jitsu comp. So I think I'd like to hit a twister. Um, Maybe not my next fight, but before I'm done, I'm definitely gonna hit a twister in an MMA fight.
Yes, and not many people were able to do like the
Yeah,
twister. Of course, in the UFC, it's like I think that three fighters only.
yeah. It's a pretty cool move. I don't know, like it's one of those I haven't really trained a lot. I just kind of like started seeing it, and I was like, oh, that's Twister, and catching it. But yeah, I don't know. Last camp, I just kind of was kind of hitting it from everywhere, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Jiu-jitsu is weird, man. Like you train it so much, like you just start seeing stuff that you don't really drill. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, that's one of them that I really want to hit is Twister.
And like the BJJ was the first combat sport that you ever trained as the like kid or the teenager.
No, so I started training karate when I was 4 years old. My parents and or actually my grandpa, he had his own karate dojo. And all my parents grew up under him. So yeah, we started when we were four. We trained on and off from four to I would say about I think I was 13 when we like really started taking it serious, and like really me and my brother started training every single day. But between 4 and 13, it was kind of on and off throughout the years. You know how kids are. Um, and then from like 13 to 18, we were like, oh, we love this, and then we just started training every single day. Um, and then when I was 18, it's kind of funny. Like a lot of my family didn't want me to do MMA or jiu-jitsu, so I didn't really have the choice to go do jiu-jitsu. Um, doesn't help that we were also really, really poor, so we couldn't even pay for jiu-jitsu if I wanted to. But when I was 18, I had the opportunity to join a jiu-jitsu gym and kind of become a staff member. So I didn't have to, pay, I didn't have to actually pay. I was just paying it off by working. So yeah, I started jiu-jitsu when I was 18. So that's what 13 years ago now, 14 years ago. So
And when was the first like time when you thought about MMA as the career that you would like to pursue?
uh I mean, so when it was the first time I wanted to, like, I knew I wanted to be an MMA fighter.
Yes.
So actually, it was the Ultimate Fighter season finale, season one, excuse me, the first one, with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. We watched that, and the next day I was like, I want to be an MMA fighter. So I think I was like between 10 and 11 years old, somewhere around there. So I kind of knew then that's what I wanted to do. And yeah, I told that to a lot of people, and they were like, "You'll never do that." So naturally, I was like, "Oh, well, watch me," you know. So yeah, probably about 10, 11 years old.
Yes, and it was like a super crazy fight because MMA, like UFC,
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, "What are we watching here?" So
yes, yes, it was a crazy, crazy brawl, definitely. And if you can tell me more about the gym that right now you are training in, and maybe if you can mention some good prospects that you have there.
yeah, so I split my time. Um, so I actually own my own gym. It's called Lycan's Den Mixed Martial Arts. Um, so I split my time, training at my own gym, and then I also go to Peoria Athletic Club. Um, both gyms have great prospects. Um, I think the most notable one um, of the two gyms would be Thomas Blackorby at Peoria Athletic Club. He's 170. He's my weight class too. He's my main training partner. He's 5-0, and I think he's only like 23, 20. I think he's 23 years old, maybe 22. Um, and yeah, he's an absolute animal. He can strike, he can wrestle, he can grapple, he can do everything. He's gonna be in the UFC very soon. If not this upcoming year, the year after, he will be in the UFC for sure. Um, but besides him, yeah, like both gyms have so many notable prospects. Um, I got a couple of guys at my gym. Zach Pridemore, he just made his MMA debut. um, he's a really good friend of mine. Quentin Watson, he's about to turn pro. He's got one, maybe two more amateur fights, and he's going to turn pro. He's got scary knockout power. Um, I got a lot of green guys at my gym. But one that just had his first MMA fight was Mateus Esperanza. I think I said his name right. Sorry, Mateus, if I said your name wrong. He actually just had a 8 second for his MMA debut. He had an 8 second head kick knockout in the first round. So yeah, we got a lot of guys over at Peoria. We got Caleb Tracy, uh, Bryce Kaiser, Jeffrey Tolley. Yeah, we got a lot of guys at both gyms. I would say about the next year or two, we're probably gonna have about 15, 20 pros between the two gyms.
And I think
So,
that your probably your like sparring session, you against Thomas, so both undefeated
oh
fighters are
God,
really
it's
really good.
awful. It's so awful, and it's hilarious because his dad's the main coach at Peoria Athletic Club, and so like we beat each other. Oh, I say we beat each other up. He beats me up all the time. And then um I remember one time we were sparring and stuff, and he won the amateur welterweight title too at Cage Aggression. So we're both amateur welterweight titles for Cage Aggression before we turned pro. And then I remember his dad walked into the room and was like, "Hey guys, this is for the actual welterweight title for Cage Aggression." I'm like, "Don't say that! Don't say that!" And then yeah, Thomas, it's rough sparring with him, but he's a cool guy. He's awesome.
And right now you are in the sport for like many years. And what, in your opinion, is like the toughest or the most challenging aspect of like the whole sport?
Um, oh gosh. I mean, I think everyone would say, camp, just camp itself, being in the gym, 6 to 12 weeks, however long people do their camps. I usually do mine about 8 to 10 weeks. Um, I would say just being in camp, in general, because it brings so many challenges to the table. You're constantly putting your body through hell. Um, you, in the back of your head, you're confident, of course, and the goal is to win. But in the back of your head, um, there's always that like that thing kind of speaking to you like, oh, you can't beat this guy, or then you kind of have to ignore that and push that back and be like, no, 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 I know I can take this guy. But it's not even just the mental and physical part of camp. Being away, being away from family is probably, I would probably say that being away from family during camp is probably the roughest. This last camp was actually really rough on me, being away from my family, because I was going to Peoria twice a week. I was going up to Chicago once a week, and my wife just had our first son, um, and so he was a month and a half old when I went back into camp. So being away from him and her so much during camp, that it's very rough. I think it's something that fighters don't talk about enough, is just being away from the family is not, it sucks. It's not fun. But it's the results, I guess, yeah, the results are worth it. And my family's super interesting, my wife's awesome, but yeah, I would say that's probably the roughest.
So probably you have to have this kind of mindset that you are doing this for them, not only for you, but also to put like the like food on the table, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, I would say I'm in a very good position. I have my gym, and we have a very good support system at my gym. So this isn't my so fighting for me isn't the make all break all. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's not the make all break all for like putting food on the table, um, or making money. Because I'm in a very lucky position that training and teaching martial arts is my job. So it's not as hard for me. I know some fighters. I know a couple guys up in Chicago. They have like full-time jobs, and then I'm like, you guys are crazy. I don't know how you do that. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, I know the end goal is worth it. And like I said, my wife is super supportive of me, and my team is too. So yeah.
And about like your plans for maybe next year, because you are, I think that right now in a really good position. But for next year, do you see yourself going for maybe going back to LFA, fighting once again for caged aggression? What do you see in your future?
I'm not exactly sure yet. Uh, I talked to my agent actually last week, and they want me to get one more win. Um, yeah, I could go back to cage aggression to defend the title, or go to 55 and try to be champ. um, yeah, I could do that. I also have a couple other offers for other regional shows to go fight for their titles as well. But I do know my agent wants me to get one more win. And then the plan is to try to get me on Contender Series next year. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But that's the goal. If I know if I can't get onto Contender Series, I know I'm probably going back to LFA next year. Or maybe even shoot for a PFL.
Yes, and in LFA you've got a really big win. And of course another finish. So probably the promotion will have a really good like opinion about you because of your last fight.
Yeah, yeah. Going into that, I knew the guy was tough, but I was kind of shocked on the odds. I was like, I don't know odds. I think minus means I get people money, and plus means I have to. But yeah, I was like minus 250, and he was like plus 650. I was like, dang guys, dang guys, like I know he's tough, but geez, don't count me out yet. But yeah, 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 he was tough.
And like outside of the game, because of course you've got also your gym, so you spend a lot of time in the gym. But when you have a little bit more free time, do you have maybe some like hobbies or like passions not involving fighting?
Yeah, I mean, during the day, I'm pretty tied up. Between the gym and just trying to hang out with the family and stuff. I play video games a lot at night. Because my wife and my son, they go to bed pretty early now. Um, First couple months, it was just I was just watching watching him at night so my wife could get some sleep. But But yeah, so I play video games at night. But once a month I actually play Dungeons and Dragons. Actually, wearing my Dungeons and Dragons shirt right now. So we actually played a game last night. So yeah, I mean, I'm a super nerd. You know, I kind of do all the nerdy stuff. But yeah, right now I'm just probably playing video games right now. It's kind of the only thing I have time for.
And when you get to the cage, when you walk to the cage, so you are like a few minutes to the fight. Do you feel some stress or nerves because you know that you will fight against another high skilled MMA fighter?
Um, not really. Not really stress or it's weird. I'm weird, man. And you talk to my teammates, they'll be like, "Yeah, James is kind of crazy." Like I cry, like in the back, like I start crying and just like screaming, and I'm emotional wreck in the back. But once I start walking out, like everything's just gone. So yeah, I don't know what it is. It's not like I'm scared crying. It's just I fight with all my emotions, I'm very passionate about, fighting and winning. Um, so I think it's just I put a lot of stress and nerves on myself. I don't really even think about them. It's just kind of like me fighting myself.
Yes, but you are undefeated, so definitely
Yeah,
there is a way
yeah,
in this life.
whatever it is, it works, I guess.
Yes, yes, definitely. And like about overall UFC fights, do you have maybe one, maybe few fighters that you are really like to watch and that can be some kind of inspiration for you as far as the style?
Um, uh, hmm, Charles Oliveira. For UFC fighter, excuse me. Um, so I really like Charles Oliveira's style. I think I have a similar style to him. Everyone on the internet, please don't hurt me if I if I don't. But I don't. Well, what I mean by that is like I don't care if we strike. I don't care if we go to the ground. You can pick, like, because I don't really wrestle a lot. I know in my last fight I actually wrestled a lot, but I don't really wrestle a lot. I'm very much a if you want to strike, we can strike. If you want to go to the ground, we can go to the ground. Um, but yeah, that's something it's always kind of been missing is my wrestling. Um, but yeah, I really like Charles Oliveira because he's also really good off his back too. But besides that, Thomas Blackorby is definitely a big inspiration to me, and I know he's not in the UFC yet, but give it a year or two, he'll be in the UFC.
Okay, James. So many thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope that your next fight will be as big as your last one, and maybe next year you will get the chance to fight for the contender series.
Yeah, that's cool. I really appreciate it, man.